Welcome back to the Seven Deadly Sins Anime Review, episode number 27. The 73rd episode of the anime, on Holy War, and chapter 343, An Everlasting Kingdom. Yep. This one episode here adapts the final chapter of the Prelude New Holy War arc, chapter 256, and adapts pretty much the entirety of chapters 257 to 58. Basically, the start of the New Holy War arc, the longest arc of the entire series. An arc that is roughly 52 chapters. Yeah, 52 chapters. So yeah. This they only just started. Actually, it's 50 chapters. Actually, yep. So basically, they are 2 down and 48 to go. Yep, 48 chapters left. And I have a suspicious feeling we're actually going to have I'd say about 3 chapters after the next episode. My guess is probably go from chapters 259 to probably 261 next week. It's possible. What happens this episode? Well, we pick up where last week's episode left off, where Arthur is basically confronting Melios, Zeteros, and their 2 mentors. And the battle's not going too well. Well, let's just say he loses, he's pretty much exhausted. Kath, of course, contacts Merlin, who teleports right there, frees everybody so they won't last, and teleports away. Now, the basic conversation is basically about how Father find Arthur, and, of course, now they do have a slight change here, where when Arthur basically reunites Merlin, he's already basically almost deep into her chest. Well, yeah, that's pretty much what she does. And take him back, and the scene itself is actually slightly longer than it is in the manga. In the manga, it's like really quick. It's like as soon as he gets there, bam, like he's not there for less than 10 seconds, and then we have Carter basically, because he had used his particular spell with his eye to basically brainwash him to kill it, to basically stab himself with his own sword. Yep. And the episode itself is actually slightly longer scene, which I appreciate. They actually made the scene a little bit longer. It's like, because Merlin disappeared. Oh, it's Arthur. And then Arthur gets stabbed, and of course, basically Elizabeth does what she could for Arthur, and then basically Arthur is taken off to what looked like a storage room, and he is just, well, they basically have, then we have a conversation between Merlin and Elizabeth over what happened with Arthur. It could be in a coma, but they don't really say anything about it. Kath is basically crying his tears out over what happened with Arthur. Possibly Arthur dying. They don't really confirm it at all. It's like he just stabbed, looked like he'd be in a coma. After grieving for a while, of course, you have a bit of a flashback here. Basically, when Merlin first met Arthur, her training him, and then basically almost like before he met Meliodas. It's a pretty good flashback. Also, it seems like she's like, just like in present day, she loves wearing revealing outfits. She just loves doing that. And then they go off and they just leave him there. Now you're probably thinking, wait, they left Merlin in a closet for, like, in the manga, this lasted for almost 100 chapters. This lasted for up until, like, I think it was like 200, it was like right after it was the start of the current arc of the manga. They finally did something with it. He was basically a loose end. I think the writer just had the time before he actually read this, because it has been confirmed the series is going to end really soon. Now, pretty much after that, we have the strategy meeting. Now, Escanor, despite like having a couple lines in the manga, in the episode itself, he's there at the strategy meeting where it has three of the four archangels, along with Dreyfus, a couple other people. Escanor himself doesn't get any lines in the manga. He basically tells, I think it's like one of the archangels, like, what are you looking at? And Merlin tells him, be quiet. He's like, yes, ma'am. Yeah, let's just point out that they do actually give him a little. They actually have his lips move in the anime when he's saying his lines, like he says he will protect Merlin. And they basically come with an interesting strategy. Form a basically special army, like have basically, I think it's Dreyfus basically protect, well, Leonis. Now, it's a slight wording change in the manga. It's basically protecting our stronghold for Leonis. It's basically changes to Defense Force. Okay, fine, Defense Force. Everything goes well and good until, well, of course, the Seven Deadly Sins basically is going to, well, be part of the South too. It's like, okay, I request that Henderson become my bodyguard. It's like, what? Idiot. And then it's like, and then all of a sudden someone says, I'll go too. And it's Gilthunder. Yep. He says, Henderson will protect Larcille. I will protect Margaret. She's like, good. I have no problem with that. We're comrades in arms. Yeah, she has no problem with him along because, yeah, basically because he knows, because he's possessing Margaret, he knows that he is possessing the body of Gilthunder's lover, Margaret. And then we see a bit of a sequence out of order because in the manga they present the scene where Merlin is talking to Elizabeth. Yeah, and in case you're wondering, now the scene with Liz, this was basically their brand new attires. Now Merlin's outfit looks similar to that of her, whatever flashback outfit she's going to wear in the series, where it's basically very revealing, got some shoulder armor. Now they put this after the scene where it's basically King, Deanne, Escanor, and Gowther, and it's presented pretty much most of the same. And it's like it's implied though that King is trying to propose to Deanne here, but Escanor stops and like, "Hey, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna make out?" And then of course here's Merlin's like, and of course he has a little bit more charming side than he does in the manga. But here is Merlin's voice, and it's actually Gowther who basically is active again. He's basically has mimicry. Then that's where they show the scene of Merlin and Elizabeth. And then they cut to the battle, where he has the Search and Destroy force versus a group of demons. Yep. And of course, Larcille basically gives a speech, and unlike in the manga, it will look like she'll cut out different angles. This one they show off almost entirely one angle, which I don't mind them doing. It's like they combined two different angles. Basically, they show off like the entire speech. It goes perfectly fine. And of course, well, Esmer's like, time to stop grandstanding. And then they start their fight with the demons. That's the episode ends. It's a pretty good episode. I got hand to the anime for doing a pretty good job with it. There's some slight changes here and there. I thought it was kind of weird. Now, in the case of rearranging scenes, like having the scene where King, Deanne, Escanor, and Gowther happened before the scene with Merlin and Elizabeth, that worked out pretty well too. Because they kind of did the same thing before. Now, it's presenting pretty much most of the same. But since you could say this could take place before that, it doesn't really matter for the episode itself. But it's a good episode nonetheless. Now we move on to the new chapter of the manga, An Everlasting Kingdom. Picking up where the last chapter left off, where Kath is being against the informers trying to eat Arthur. And Arthur is basically doing the best they can, battling him, slicing him up. And he wants back the chaos he stole. He pokes him with a sword. Lots of slicing. Says he will create a shaped land where nobody can feel terrified by a threat of disaster. Nobody grieves. I will create an everlasting kingdom. Yeah, and even though he's basically king of chaos, like he made it himself, he walked right into it. And of course, looked like he sliced it, and then went through, and it looked like everything mostly back normal. And apparently, it looked like that Arthur ate Kath, and the only way to know basically the power is back is the fact that the Excalibur changed shape. Yes, the Holy Torch changed shape. The Devil Sword King who will create everything and make me blush. I'll give him that. Pretty silly too. And it looked like he grew back his arm. I may can't just take back a promise that he once said aloud. Realists. Why not? You got a goal set for yourself, so wild, care work it out. So on the fact, okay, let's create that world you got in mind. let's take every wrong road. The 7 deadly sins will be with you. Midas Escanor. And the chapter ends with basically Arthur thanking him. Thank you for my everlasting goal. And the chapter ends with it could be ending for the series, but who knows? I highly doubt this is the end of the series. I highly doubt this is the final chapter of the series. Yes, I think this might be the final chapter of this arc per se. It's possible, but we'll find out when the next chapter comes out next week, chapter 344. Yep. So that's it for this particular review, and that's it for videos today. I have no other time doing any videos today. I probably have tomorrow. I'll probably have one, maybe two videos tomorrow. One video I'm definitely doing tomorrow is asking if Rogue Hero. I'll just take a part of that video tomorrow, and there might be another video, but I'm not really sure yet. Okay, but to the next video. Bye.